Hello everyone and welcome on back to some more Dash Auto Repair. Dash here. Today we're working on the 2011 Acura RDX. Actually it's 2008, but I think it goes up to 2012 I believe. But anyway, so I have a check engine light for a P2263, and what that is it is the turbo variable actuator flow eye. And what happens over time is that this eye or screw gets stretched from the factory, and Acura recommends that you actually replace the entire turbo, but the aftermarket community has spoken and has made aftermarket parts. So this is all we need to replace, and it has basically stretched over time, and it causes the check engine light and also causes the all-wheel drive to shut off and go to front-wheel drive. And so you'll see SH all-wheel drive LED illuminate on your dash. So we're going to be replacing this bad boy. So first what we need to do is take off the cover, which I already did. There's 4 Phillips. You just turn them halfway, real simple, and you take it off. Very simple. Don't turn it any more than that because you could risk damaging those little plastic screws. So I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. I wanted to show you guys what the part looked like, but we're going to focus our attention back here. So we need to take off the intercooler first. So I'm going to take off the 10 mil here, a 10 mil back here, 10 mil over there, and then the 10 mil holding off the blow-off valve. I'm going to take those off, take some hoses off, and then we'll get this bad boy off real quick. All right, let's get it right into it. Shoot! Of course, power tools. So I went ahead and took that screw off. I'm going to take the one over here off. I'm actually going to take the hose off. So this just loosens the tension on the hose that's going to the intercooler. There's one in the front. Let's take that off. Set those aside, don't lose them. Power tools are literally where it's at. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish taking the intercooler off, and then I'll start right back, start the video back up. But basically you need to take all the 10 mils off, and it looks like we don't need to take off the blow-off valve. We might need to take off this hose because we don't want to break that. That's the last thing we want to break. It's connected to something plastic. So I'm going to wiggle this bad boy off and let you guys know what I found. So real quick, the reason why it's on so hard is because the back of the intercooler is connected to the turbo down there. So I need to take that off. So if I can get some extensions, and there's the 10 mil back there connected to the hose, and we'll pop that bad boy off. All right, well, sorry about the wind. If you hear that in the mic, that's my apologies. Eventually I'll be getting into the garage. We have a 6-car garage. Well, it's 2-car, but it has been extended in the back, and you can basically fit 6 of these in there. So that's what I mean by that. I don't live in a mansion or anything. That's the goal though, so let's get it. But anyway, so I'm out here working on the driveway until we move stuff into, from the garage to the house. So once you get your extender, I want to go ahead and get back there and take her off. She is off. Just gonna give her a nice wiggle. And of course, we want to make sure that we disconnect this hose connecting to the plastic piece, because the last thing we want to do is break something. So I'm going to disconnect the hose that's by the blow-off valve that goes to probably the regulator. Yeah, boost regulator most likely. But anyways, so I'm going to take this off and grab a needle nose pliers and just take the hose off real quick, and then I'm going to start wiggling this bad boy off. Let's get to it. Alrighty, so as you can see, I got this portion off of it that goes from the throttle body to the intercooler. The back portion is off of it as well. I'm going to kind of just shimmy it out of the way. We're hanging on to something. Looks like there is another 10 mil back there. So, looks like it's on the back side. Yep, it sure is. So we're going to try to shimmy this back. We're going to try to get to it. So always make sure you take off all the bolts before you work on it too much, you do not want to break something. Of course, it looks like it's in a fun spot. So I'm gonna have to put this back. Got a little ahead of myself. Put this back and go from there. It might be easier to take this off the throttle body. Take that off. That way I can maneuver it around a bit more. All right, so take this off, set that aside. And now I'm going to focus on that back bolt real quick. It's just a 10 mil, so remove that and then we can remove the intercooler or set it aside. So after I removed that 10 mil, looks like there are 4 of them. 4 10 mils. You got the intake tubing, and then you have the turbo tubing in the back. So 10 mils, 4 10 mil bolts, and then it's off. So of course you want to take off the hoses. Don't forget that about the blow off valve, because like I said, you don't want to break anything. So it's still connected to that. And let's just set this aside. All right, so now that that is out of our way, we can put our focus back there, because that's where we need to go. Let me adjust the camera a bit. Okay, so the actuator is back here, and this is the housing that goes into the turbo. I want to make sure nothing goes in there. I don't know how obvious that is, but nothing at all. You don't want to have to replace a turbo whatsoever. Oh, hold on one second. I'm going to pause it because these damn dogs. All right, so I want to show you guys real quick with the intercooler off. You don't necessarily have to take the intercooler off, but I like more room because, you know, I give myself more hassle than I need to have. So anyways, there's the actuator, and if you can see that piece down there, it's right here, and there's some playing in. I don't know if you can hear that, but basically what happens is that the part that I showed you guys, let me show you again, so that way you guys get a better understanding of what's going on, why is it doing this, and so on and so forth. So this piece right here, see how it has a hole in it? It's kind of like a rod bearing. So when the rod bearing gets worn, basically it creates slack, and that's why you have a rod bearing or an engine knock. And so same sort of concept with this. The inner side of this is worn on the old one, and so it creates play. And when there's play in there, it throws codes, and it causes all sorts of issues. So I can move it around with my hand, I can wiggle it, and that is not how it should be. It should fit snugly with that C-clip and this actuator holder. So basically what we need to do is, this is the locking washer right here. It's a 10 mil. We need to loosen that up on the old one, and the top lock mechanism is also 10 mil, and we need to loosen it up. Now I will say this loosens to the right as it's threaded, and the locking one looses to the left. So this one right and the top left. So what I'm going to do, and this makes it also makes it easier if you wrap a piece of wire around these components, the old ones, so you don't lose them. But we have all the replacement parts right here, so if I lose them, no big deal. But when we install them, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this around some wire on this, so that way, you know, we can make sure we don't lose this, because we don't want to lose this and create more work for us. But anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and proceed with loosening the 10 mils, and then I'm going to try to wiggle the old one out of place. So I'll show you what I got going on. I'm just going to get two open 10 mil wrenches, stick them back there, and see what we can do. So let's get to it. All right, so here's a better view. The piece is right here, and as you can see, I can wiggle it, and that's not good. So with a little bit of patience and a little bit of care, we can get back there with 2 10 mil opening wrenches. We can start going to 10. So like I said, the bottom lock nut needs to be loosened, so we're going to see if we can turn this top one first. The top one goes right. Yeah, it looks like the bottom one needs loose, so we're going to loosen that bad boy first. I'm gonna try to loosen these real quick to save, you know, time on the video, because who knows how long it'll take me to do this. But anyway, so the bottom lock nut needs to be turned left and the top one needs to be right. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to do that, and then I'll check back with you guys and let you guys know the progress. So for my situation, I noticed something. I wanted to point this out. I don't have a locking washer. I'm sorry, a locking nut. See that nut right there on this one? This is the aftermarket one. I don't have a nut. I have a straight just locking washer on the entire unit. So when I tried to turn, and sorry, it's gonna be a little loud because these trucks are doing construction out here at my street. Gotta raise property values, right? Anyways, now that you guys can hear me. So the unit goes in like this. The C-clip goes on the outside to lock it in place to the channel that it slides onto, which is on the turbo. So anyways, my unit does not have a nut. It just has a long locking washer, and it was loose, which caused the wiggle. So I got my 10 mil back there, and I just straight up tightened it. When I did that, there is now zero play in that. So it is fully solid. So part of me thinks we might be good. So there's no play on this now, and there was. And the play causes the error to be, or the error code to throw out, which causes all sorts of issues. And then, like I said, the SH-AWD drive LED illuminates in the dash, all that jazz. So I'm not gonna replace this part if I don't need to. If I just need to tighten it, maybe it just loosened itself up. So I tightened it on there pretty tight. And so we're just gonna check things out and see how it goes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the intercooler back together with those 10 mil bolts, and put it on the tubes and whatnot. And start this thing up, see how it runs. All right, stay tuned. One thing I want to point out real quick: if you took the intercooler off like I did, it's just good maintenance, you know, good preventative maintenance. We want to go ahead and clean the throttle body with some throttle body cleaner. Get in there with a nice lint-free rag, maybe microfiber cloth. Clean the intercooler out. Or I'm sorry, you can clean the intercooler tube out because there's, you know, oil and shit that gets stuck in there, but clean the throttle body out so that way, see, it's a little gunked up. So we're gonna mess with the flap and clean that up before I install the intercooler. So just something I recommend. You're already there, you might as well do it. So I'm gonna clean that up, put the intercooler on, start it up, and we'll see how this thing goes. Stay tuned. All right, so quick update. I went ahead and removed the check engine light just to see if it would pop back on. Normally I don't like to do that, but since this was such a weird situation, I didn't actually replace anything. I just tightened that flow eye actuator unit. I wanted to actually turn off the engine light, or, you know, basically use my diagnostic tool and remove the engine light, erase it, and then drive it around. So I've been driving around for about 10 minutes right now. Spirited driving. You know, so I've definitely gone into boost. I haven't gone to max boost yet, but the check engine light has not popped on at all. Now I will say, in the past when I was diagnosing this, it originally sat for a while. It had a lean code, and it also had that turbo actuator fly code. So the lean code was fixed just by bad gas. Always put premium in these turbo cars, guys, always. So that fixed that problem. And once I cycled through a whole tank and whatnot, that part was good to go. That check engine light disappeared on its own. So I cleared this check engine light like I mentioned. I've been driving around for about 10 minutes. I'm gonna drive around for about 10 more minutes, and then I'll give you guys another update. All right, as you can see, there's the mileage. I'm gonna drive around for another 10 minutes, and you should see that up there. Hopefully it doesn't pop on. So far, so good. Wow. I only had to tighten that actuator, the actual fly eye. That's crazy, or flow eye, whatever the hell it's called. Such a long name for such a small little unit. But anyways, so I'm gonna drive around 10 minutes, and I will check back with you guys. All right, stay tuned. All right, guys, so I drove around for about 10 more minutes. As you can see, the mileage changed, put about 5 miles on it, but I went up to about 100 miles an hour from its dead stop, and definitely went to the highest PSI as possible from that turbo. So no check engine light popped on. It looks like that fixed the problem. I just had to tighten that nut. So if you have that P2262, check engine light pop on that states that that's the problem, try to tighten that nut first. Like you saw, I just took a 10 mil and I just literally tightened it. I didn't have to replace anything. It was just loose. So try that out before you take it into Acura and get charged a whole bunch. So I hope this helps you out. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos. Dash Auto Repair out. Peace.